Welcome to the final segment of the MindPower Home Study Program. I'm in the studio right now, and what I'm going to be doing is showing you how you can design your own MindPower program specifically designed for your needs and goals. But before I do that, I want to take you back to the beginning of how this course was created. I was in my mid-20s when I first became interested in MindPower, and I began to read and research all I could on the subject. And I found that after a number of years, I became very knowledgeable on the subject, but I couldn't really demonstrate it. It seemed that all I was getting was positive thinking, motivation, inspiration, and it was good material, but it wasn't the real essence of MindPower. So what I did is I decided to go back into the woods in British Columbia and Canada, and I built myself a cabin, and I resolved to get to the bottom of it. I said either this stuff works or it doesn't. And if it works, I want to see it demonstrating in my life. And I searched through all the different areas. I looked into physics, into science, into psychology, into religion, into positive thinking, into every possible aspect, everything that had something to do with MindPower. And I took from all of them what I felt was the most valuable. And then from that, what I began to do is to begin to experiment with it. Some of the techniques I found worked really well and didn't really need anything other than what they were. Other techniques didn't work at all. I don't know why people were even teaching them. Some of the techniques needed fine-tuning, had to be refined. Some of the information you're getting in the course came directly from my subconscious. In fact, that was a very exciting point at being in the woods, is when I started to draw directly from the subconscious, getting information beyond what I or anybody else knew. And you can do that as well. And over 3 years, I put together this program. Now, when I first came out and started teaching this program, what I found is that some of the information that I presented in week number 1 was too early, that people weren't getting it, that they needed a better foundation. And so I moved that material into lecture number 4. Some of the material that I was presenting in lecture number 4, really what happened is you needed it earlier. So I moved it up to lecture number 1 or lecture number 2. And so for the first year or so, I experimented with this training, changing it, adding things, deleting things, getting it to where it was working exactly the way I wanted it, so that my students would come out of this training having something very powerful, that they would be able to demonstrate MindPower. Now, what's quite remarkable is that I have been teaching this course for almost 30 years now, and yet the training has not changed at all. I've changed, I've grown, I have greater insights, but the training has not changed. And the reason the training has not changed is that the system is perfect the way it is. It takes any individual who's willing to come in with a clear and open mind and is willing to work at it, willing to follow the exercises, follow the system, then that individual will get MindPower. Now, after 30 years of teaching this, I know every little trick. I know where you're going to stumble. I know where common errors are. I know the different levels and the different steps that everybody takes until they begin to master MindPowers for themselves. And there's 2 common errors that I've found that most people fall into when they work with MindPowers. And I'll share with you first the second common error. The second common error is called coasting. And what coasting is when you're doing your exercises every day. And as a result of doing your exercises, you're getting insights. Your vibration is changing. You're starting to manifest things in your life. And things are going so well, and you're getting such good results that you figure you don't even have to do the exercises anymore. You coast on the momentum of what you've done. And what happens when you do that is that the results stop. Now, then at that point, you're thinking to yourself, oh, things were going so well for me. How come they're not working for me now? And you realize, oh, I haven't been doing my exercises. So you start up your exercises again, but you don't get the results right away. And the reason you don't get the results is that you need the momentum. It's a lot like priming a pump. Now, imagine those old-fashioned pumps that you used to see in the country where they had the handle and you would have to pump it up and down, up and down, up and down. And you would have to pump it maybe 8, 10, 12 times before you got the water flowing. But once you got the water flowing, it flowed effortlessly as long as you continued to pump. But if you stopped pumping and the water stopped, once again, you would try and prime the pump with the handle, and you would pump it once, nothing happens. Twice, nothing happens. 3 times, nothing happens. And that's when you get discouraged. You have to realize that in order to get the momentum, in order to get the vibration of energy happening for you, you must do it regularly and consistently. So that's the second common error that Mind Power students fall into, is that they coast on their momentum. Now, the first common error, and this is by far the number one reason that people aren't getting results, is that they don't do the work. I am absolutely astounded at how inertia and momentum keeps us from doing the work. I know that many of you that are listening to this program right now have not done the exercises. How do I know that? Well, I've trained 100,000 people, and I know the common errors. In fact, I discovered it for myself when I was in the woods. I wanted to master mind powers. And in the beginning stages, again, it was all intellectual to me. It was just knowledge. I wasn't demonstrating it the way that I knew that I could. And so I started charting myself. That's when I first discovered the importance of charting. I started charting myself. And what I would find is, in the beginning, I would be very inspired. I would be very enthused. Every day I would do my exercises, and every day that I did my exercises, I would chart myself. And what would happen is I would do it every day for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then I would start missing a day or two. And then I started missing a week or two. And then I would go back 2 or 3 months later, and I'd noticed a whole month had gone by, and I didn't do my exercises. Well, that's incredible. How did that happen? Okay, I'm going to start again. And I would start again, once again, with inspiration, with enthusiasm, with determination. And the same pattern would happen. I would do it every day for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Then I would start missing a day or two, and then a week. And then again, I would go back to my Mind Power journal and realize a month or 2 had gone by, and I hadn't done my exercises. And that happened to me 6 times. In fact, it was well over a year before I realized I'm really not getting by a month. And at that point, I realized something very valuable, and that is that it's not easy to do the exercises every single day. Oh, it's easy to do it for a week or two every day. But I'm talking every single day for a 90-day period. And I've discovered that somewhere between 60 and 90 days is what it takes to imprint into the subconscious. And once I realized how difficult it was to do it every day, this was a really motivating factor for me. I was determined that I was going to do it every day without missing a day for 90 days. I set that intention. I set that goal. And I had my Mind Power Journal, and I made sure every single day that I did it. And then I finally joined the 90-Day Club. And the 90-Day Club is available to any individual who does their exercises each and every day for 90 days without missing a day. Now, why is it that it's so difficult to do it for 90 days? Well, it's difficult because the mind is very lazy. And also, there's a part of us that doesn't really believe that it will make a difference to us. Oh, intellectually, we know that, but for some reason, we don't really get it. What a transforming experience that doing Mind Powers every day will accomplish for us. Let me use an analogy. Imagine that you're in an underwater research center that is 100 feet below the water. And what is required is that every day you spend 20 minutes at a pump, pumping oxygen into that center. And if you don't do it, then there won't be enough oxygen for the full 24 hours. Well, there's motivation for you. Would you ever let a day go by where you didn't man that pump pumping in oxygen? You would do it first thing in the morning, every single day when you woke up. And if you didn't do it in the morning, then you would do it at lunch. And if for whatever reason you ever missed and you're lying in bed, you would leap up immediately and pump because your life depends on it. And it's the same way in our life. Our personal success depends on us doing Mind Powers each and every day. Our greatness, our destiny depends upon it. So don't get tricked into not doing the exercises. And have a Mind Power journal. I find that charting is absolutely crucial in the Mind Power techniques. I can tell you right now that if you don't have a Mind Power journal and you're not charting yourself, you're definitely not doing your exercises. Because the great trickster is too tricky, is too subtle. Inertia and momentum of not doing the exercises is too strong. You have to chart yourself. You have to observe yourself. You have to know and understand exactly how much or how little you are doing Mind Powers. Now, you don't have to do this with positive thinking. Positive thinking, all you have to do is think positive. But with Mind Powers, you have to chart yourself. Mind Powers is an entirely different science. It's way more powerful than positive thinking. But it takes more work. It takes more diligence. But believe me, it's worth the price. So you have your Mind Power journal. And I don't ever go anywhere without my Mind Power journal. And when I say don't go anywhere, of course I go to the store or visit friends without it. But if I'm going off on a trip for several weeks, I always take my Mind Power journal. In fact, I have every single Mind Power journal that I've ever kept for all these 30 years. I have them. And the reason that I keep them is for two reasons. Number one, by reading it over, I get inspired, because every time that I contemplate, I write down what it is that I've contemplated about, any new insights, any new observations. And they can be quite revolutionary. Even now, after 30 years, I still do my exercises. I still contemplate. All truths, all laws have many different levels of understanding to them. And I have pierced into some of the very deep levels of understanding, and they nurture me deeply. Yes, I have my Mind Power journal, and I always record everything that's happening with my Mind Power exercises. So make sure that you have a Mind Power journal that is a part of your practice, and make sure that you chart yourself daily. Understanding that Mind Powers is all about manifestation. It's about manifesting and creating what it is that you want to have happen to you. And there's an old maxim in Mind Powers, and that is that you must know what you want before you can receive it. And that means having goals. So the first thing that the Mind Power student does is he sets himself a goal. You set a goal for yourself. And in setting goals for yourself, it's important that you ask these 4 questions. Now, I'm not talking about small goals like today I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to cook a brilliant meal tonight, or I'm going to finish the project. And all these things, you can use affirmations and you can use Mind Power techniques to achieve these things. I'm talking about large goals in your life. Is that when you set the intention to accomplish a large goal, I want you to ask yourself these 4 questions. First, why are you doing it? Why have you chosen this large goal? Secondly, does it feel right? Does it have a good feeling? Thirdly, is it a path with heart? Does it resonate with you? And fourthly, who besides yourself will benefit from this goal being achieved? First of all, why are you doing it? I had a student in Toronto one time, and he told me that he had the goal to be the richest person in Canada. And I was curious about that. And I asked him, well, why do you have that goal? And his answer was quite revealing. He said, to prove that it can be done. Well, what does that mean? To prove it can be done. Understand why you're doing what you're doing. You've chosen a goal. Why have you chosen it? Secondly, does it feel right? I always trust my feelings. Don't have a goal that feels out of tune with who and what you are. And this is where you can go to your subconscious. In any large goal, you should check with your subconscious. Is this goal appropriate? Is this goal something that I should be working on? And use the techniques to make sure that this is a worthy goal for yourself. Because when your goal resonates with your highest ideals and with the harmony of the greatest good of all, you can expect help, synchronicity, and the whole vibration of the universe to come and help you. But if it's out of tune with who and what you are, then you're going to have to fight it every step of the way. So trust, does it feel right? Thirdly, is it a path with heart? Never have a goal simply for making money. It's a very curious thing that people whose sole objective is making money very often don't. Find your passion. Find something that really excites you. For example, Bill Gates, who is the richest man in the world, he didn't say, "Oh, how can I become the richest man in the world?" He found his passion. He devoted himself to it, and it happened as a result of him following his passion. It's very interesting. When I wrote my second book, Money, Success, and You, and when I had it in the manuscript form, I sent the manuscript out to all my successful friends and associates who had achieved great amount of financial success in their life. And I wanted them to look at the manuscript to make sure that everything that needed to be there was in it. And I had a list of about 20 people that I sent it to. What was fascinating is that when I reviewed my list, I noticed that every single person on that list had made their money, had made their fortune in areas that they were passionate about. One was a jewelry wholesaler. Another was a clothes manufacturer. Another was in publishing. Another was in home renovation. But they all made their money in something that they were passionate about. And it got me thinking, is it possible to make a great deal of money, a fortune, an abundance of money in something that you don't love? And you know what? I don't think it's possible. Oh, it's possible to make a living at something that you don't love. But you can't be tremendously successful unless you find something that you're passionate about. And besides, why would you want to? Life is too rich, is too mysterious, is too open for many different possibilities and opportunities in all areas of our life for us to settle in doing anything other than what resonates as true and passionate. If you follow this, it will work for you very well. And besides, you're going to spend a lot of time with this goal. I mean, a major goal is going to take 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is to achieve it. Why would you want to spend all that time at something that you're not passionate about? Then the final question, who besides yourself will benefit from you achieving this goal? And include as many people as you can think of that will benefit from you achieving this goal. I learned this technique from Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was a boyhood hero of mine. I grew up idolizing that man. And I was very fortunate that I got to meet him in person. He was doing a fight in Toronto, and we were in high school at the time, and myself and a few other boys, we would skip school and we would go and watch him train in the gym. And it was magnificent to watch him train. He was such an athlete. He was strong. He was vibrant. He was a poet. He was a minister. He was a man of vision. In between skipping rope and hitting the heavy bag, he would come and talk to us boys. He would take time with us. He was a real inspiration. Now, the thing about Muhammad Ali that was very interesting is that whenever Muhammad Ali fought, in his mind, he was always fighting for the poor people. He was always fighting for the black people. He was always fighting for what he called his people. And in fact, when in his fights he was having problems and difficulties, his corner man, Bundy Brown, would shout out from the corner, "Come on, champ, do it. You gotta do it. Do it for the welfare mother. Do it for the kid that's on drugs. Do it for the poor people. Do it for the unemployed elderly. Come on, champ, you've got to win. And it would inspire Muhammad Ali to do his best and to get out there and win that fight. Now, what I found always curious and quite amusing is that in almost all his fights, he was fighting other black men. But it didn't matter, because in his mind, now listen carefully to what I'm saying, in his mind, he was fighting for the black people. When I first came out teaching, I started teaching and I would hold my seminars at 4- and 5-star hotels so that we had the whole aura of success, so that people could come to a very prestigious place and feel good about where they were. But the fact is that I didn't have a lot of money in those days, and I couldn't even afford to stay in those hotels. I'd leave the seminar after I'd answered all the questions, and then I would go back to my hotel. And I made a goal for myself. And my goal was that I was going to become a millionaire. And the reason that I wanted to become a millionaire is that I knew that when I was a millionaire, that I could be on stage and I could teach with power and authority. What right did I have to tell you that you can do anything in your life, that you can achieve your wildest goals unless I personally could demonstrate it? And so I set for myself that intention, that I will become a millionaire, and I was doing it for you. Now that sounds funny, but again, listen to my words. In my mind, I was doing it not just for myself, but for I could teach with power and authority. I was doing it for the greater good. So in your goals, think about who else is going to benefit. We shouldn't have goals that benefit only ourselves. Is your family going to benefit? Is your community going to benefit? How can you include benefits for them in the overall goal? And by structuring your goal in this way, it will give you more inspiration. It will give you more power. Now, any large goal is broken down into smaller goals. There are steps along the way until you get to your final achievement, your final large goal. And every step along the way, I like to call the points of achievement. And every point of achievement should be acknowledged. It gives you a vibration of success. For example, if being a millionaire is your goal, then before you can be a millionaire, you have to make $50,000. That's a point of achievement. You have to make $100,000. There's another point of achievement. You have to make $250,000. Another point of achievement. And every step is to be acknowledged so that you can vibrate with success. The same thing in small goals. Let's say that you have a goal to lose 20 pounds. Well, in order to lose 20 pounds, first you have to lose 5 pounds. That's a point of achievement. Acknowledge it. Vibrate with it. And so break the larger goal into smaller steps, and you use your mind power techniques to visualize, affirm, and seed every step of the way, as well as having the overall larger achievement. Vibrate with success. I have a saying that my success helps many people and my failure helps no one. And realize that that is true. Your success does help many people, and your failure helps no one. Now, nobody has the right to tell you what success is. Success is different things to different people. For some people, success will mean making a large amount of money. For others, it will be to win a sporting championship. For still others, it might be to raise a family and have your children with values and morals and creativity and compassion so that they grow up to be vibrant human beings. For someone else, it might be to write a great novel or paint a great picture. Nobody can tell you what your success should be. You and you alone define success. And please don't get caught up into our society and culture's definition of success. And our society and culture is so structured so that 95% of the people are failures and 5% of the people are success. Don't buy into that definition. You define success on your own terms. You decide what success is to you. But once you have decided what success is, then hold yourself to the responsibility of being successful. We are genetically engineered to be successful. In our genes, in our consciousness, we are so structured so that we can achieve whatever it is that we choose for ourselves. We have a powerful subconscious mind that will guide and assist us in every step of our life. But it needs us to cooperate. It needs us to understand all the laws, all the truths, all the methods by which reality manifests. And that's what Mind Power gives you. So once you've chosen your goal, what I suggest that you do is you write down on a piece of paper in 2 or 3 sentences defining and explaining exactly what it is that your goal is. And I suggest also that you refer to it daily. Look at it. Read that statement. First, you fuel desire, and then desire fuels you. So daily, go to that goal, knowing and understanding exactly what it is that you are going to accomplish. Once you have your goal set and your intention set, the next thing that you have to decide is how much time am I going to devote to this? Now, I suggest to my students that a good amount of time to spend is somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes every day. I find that that's very doable. I find that you can find that amount of time in your day. However, you have to make that decision. There's a misconception that the more mind power you do, the better the results. For example, if 30 minutes will get you results, then an hour is going to get you twice as many results. But that's false. It's not the amount of time you put into the exercises. It's the daily repetition of the exercises. It's infinitely better to do 15 minutes every day for a 90-day period than to do a half hour and an hour 2 or 3 times a week. So look at your life and decide how much time am I willing to give to master mind power? How much time am I going to do daily in order to manifest these goals? Once you've established how much time you're going to give, then it's a matter of looking at what exercises you're going to do. Now, we have covered many, many exercises in this program. Seating, visualizing, affirmations, contemplation, self-observation, weeding of the negatives, acknowledging, working on your self-image, your subconscious, beliefs, imprinting. It goes on and on and on. In fact, if you were to spend 5 minutes on each one of those exercises, it would take you well over an hour to do them all. But you don't have to do them all. Think of it as a 90-day rotation. And in that 90 days, you're going to do all the exercises many, many times. The way that I like to do it is I like to design a program week by week. Now notice that the goal stays the same. My goal is not changing. What is changing is the mind power exercises that I choose for myself each week. So let's say in the first week, you might assign yourself a visualization technique, maybe 2 or 3 affirmations, maybe some seating techniques, and some contemplation. And then chart yourself. Do it every day, and then at the end of the week, review. You have your Mind Power Journal in front of you. The first and obvious question is, did you do your exercises? And if you didn't, then that's fine. Just be aware of that. Why didn't you do your exercises? Maybe you're too busy. Well, maybe you should get up a little bit earlier, or perhaps do it in your lunch hour. Get to know what is the best time to do your exercises. And then you start again, and you assign yourself a number of exercises. Maybe about 3 weeks into doing it, you realize that I really need some guidance and information. Okay, time to do the 3 steps of the subconscious. You know, contemplation, and that's the first step of contacting the subconscious, is that you contemplate that you do indeed possess a second mind, a subconscious mind. I'll share with you right now that probably my single favorite exercise, and the one that I enjoy doing the most, is contemplation. When you contemplate the incredible possibilities that exist for you, when you contemplate that you do indeed possess a second powerful mind that's working day and night in your life, when you get beyond the intellectual aspect of it, and it actually becomes imprinted, this is very, very powerful. Even in all these years, I still contemplate the power that I possess. I still contemplate the laws. I still contemplate the subconscious mind because it gets deeper and more powerful. So week by week, assign yourself your exercises. The weeding of negatives. Now, of course, that happens all the time. But in the self-observation technique, you might observe that there are a particular negative or 2 that keeps reoccurring. Okay, that's valuable. That's very valuable. What do? Make up an affirmation that counteracts it and hit it every single time that it comes to you. Maybe in your review, you recognize that actually I need more self-confidence. Okay, well, if you need more self-confidence, what do? Well, you know what to do. You begin visualizing. You begin seeding yourself as confident. And you do this much the same way as an artist works with his or her craft, or a sculptor, or a bricklayer, or a laborer, is that in the beginning you have your fundamentals. For example, in painting, you have your fundamentals on how to mix paint and how to draw structures. But once you have mastered the fundamentals, every single artist paints different. and it's the same way in working with mind powers, is that you will discover your own particular way that works best for you. Now, what quite often happens is that we get fixated on, 2 or 3 techniques that are our favorites, and we tend to do them all the time. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I know people who have achieved great amount of success simply by working with the affirmation technique. So there's nothing particularly wrong with only having 2 or 3 techniques that you use over and over again. But personally, I feel that that limits you. And quite often, you'll find that the techniques that you haven't been using are ones that could be incredibly valuable for you in order to achieve your success. And again, that's where having your Mind Power Journal is so valuable. Because over a number of weeks, you will notice what exercises you're giving yourself and what exercises you're avoiding. Maybe after a month, you realize, I never have used the imprinting technique. How come I haven't used the imprinting technique? Well, is there no new beliefs that I want? Certainly, there must be some beliefs that would empower me, and you might decide to look closely at the beliefs that you have. Change your model of reality any time that you choose. You are not limited to reality. You are limited solely to your vision and understanding of how to create and manifest in this matrix energy that we call our life. Always be doing new and different techniques. Create new empowering beliefs. Recreate your self-image. Acknowledge yourself regularly. There's another fabulous technique, acknowledging. A lot of people dismiss that one. You should have an acknowledging list of at least 20, 30, 40 things that make you feel really good and successful about who and what you are now. That creates a vibration of success, and that will attract more success to you. Have fun with it. Be an artist with it. Create a Mind Power program in a way that nobody else ever had. Each and every one of us is different, and each and every one of us will work with Mind Powers in a slightly different way. Evaluate your strengths and weaknesses. That's another aspect of Mind Powers. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. So with your strengths, put them on your acknowledging list. Realize all the different reasons why you will be successful, why you have great positive qualities that will assist you in achieving this goal. Vibrate with that success. And then with your weaknesses, change them. You will become whatever you consistently think about yourself. Maybe when you evaluate yourself, you realize that really what you do in your life is you procrastinate a lot. Okay, wonderful to know that. Fabulous to know that. Now what you want to do is you want to change that. So begin using Mind Powers, creating images of yourself as somebody that gets out there and does something every single day, a real go-getter. Create the exact opposite of procrastination. You get to create yourself in whatever way that you choose. Mind Power is a system that fits you. It is not a rigid system. It is a system that allows you to tailor it exactly to who and what you are. And yes, there are certain laws, and yes, there are ways of doing it right and wrong, but after the basics, You get to work with it in a very creative and fun way, manifesting and creating your life. Another point to remember is don't look over your shoulder daily. And by looking over your shoulder daily, what I mean by that is when you're constantly going, is it happening yet? Is it happening yet? Is it happening yet? Is it happening yet? If you're asking yourself daily, is it happening yet? What that's like is if you took a seed that you planted into the ground and you're digging it up. Is it growing yet? Is it growing yet? Well, how ludicrous. Give it time. You have to plant the seed below the ground, and then you have to nurture it and tend it and water it, and it will quite naturally grow. It's the same thing with mind power. If you're doing your exercises each and every day, if you have your mind power journal, if you've set your intention and you're working this system, you can be quite assured that you're going to get results. But don't be asking yourself daily, has it happened yet? You will have good days. You will have bad days. Mind Powers does not make your life perfect. What it is it's a tool. It's techniques. It's methods by which you can manifest. But don't be monitoring yourself day by day. By all means, you want to know whether or not this is working. But what I suggest is that you monthly review. Look at your life once a month. Is there progression? And then the month after that, and then the month after that. But don't do it daily. And have fun. Have fun with this. Don't be fixated just on the final goal. Enjoy the process. Life is a journey, not a destination. And when you can enjoy each and every step of it. Oh yes, sometimes we have bad things happen to us, and sometimes we have misfortune, and sometimes we have things that we don't like happen to us. This is all part of life. But enjoy the journey. Make the journey fun. Make the journey fulfilling. Make the journey filled with adventure. Enjoy the process. Well, here we are at the end of the CD. And I'd like to end with a quote. The much said, the much left unsaid. Everything that I have shared with you in this training is just information, no more or no less. It must be practiced in order to come alive within you. You must take this information, which is now conceptual, and you must make it yours. You must own it. You must possess it. You must live it. This is your opportunity. I'm calling you right now to awaken from whatever situation you find yourself in and come into the greatness of who you are. Come into an understanding that you are here for a reason, that you have a personal destiny, that you have unlimited power at your disposal, that you have everything that you need right now inside you to become and do whatever you choose. It's your choice. You choose. You're it. You are the creator of the things that happen to you. You're it.